Time now for today's focus. It takes us to Russia, where Parliament is expected to approve a very controversial piece of legislation. A bill that increases the age for pension eligibility by 5 years, so starting at 65 for men and 60 for women. Many Russians have pointed out that by that age, the age they qualify now for their pensions, is pretty much the same as the average life expectancy there. There's been angry protests and even division in Parliament over the issue, and it's knocked 10% off Vladimir Putin's popularity ratings. Elena, Volochine and Gulliver Cragg send us this report.
Против пенсионной реформы по всей России собираем подписи.
These activists are from an organization that normally supports Vladimir Putin. But here, right in the center of Moscow, they're inviting Russians to express their anger at the president. They're hoping to send him some 2 million signatures. Polls suggest around 90% of Russians are against raising the retirement age.
Everyone in Russia is against it, of course. No one wants to work until they die.
People will die before they get a chance to retire. That's what our government wants.
We've reached a point where people have lost all confidence in the government. They're turning away. Every other person tells us that. And when they sign the petition, they say we're signing because we're against it, but we don't think we can change anything at all.
With Russian men's life expectancy standing at 67 years, raising the retirement age to 65 is deeply unpopular. All the more so considering that jobs are hard to find and often pay miserable wages, especially away from the capital. To find anything paying more than 200 euros a month, Tatiana had to move to Moscow, leaving her children behind in Saransk, 500 kilometers away. And even here, it took a long time to get hired.
A year and a half ago, I was looking for work, and the first thing they would ask me was how old I was. As soon as I told them that I was 44, they'd say, "Sorry, but we're looking for someone younger. To be a shop assistant. It's not like it's a job where you really need to be young and beautiful." My mother died at 59, my father at 70. I've already realized that I'll never get to look after my grandchildren. I'll still be doggedly looking for work. I'll probably have to beg them to take me on, just to clean the floors.
Tatiana always voted for Putin, but now says she's disillusioned.
I believed in Vladimir Putin, of course, but now it's not even that I don't respect him, I despise him.
She is not alone. Putin's ratings fell by 10% after the proposed reform was announced. To shore up the president's popularity, state TV launched a new weekly show, a celebration of the president.
At the very end of the show, we'll reveal the secrets of the president's physical fitness, how he manages to stay in such great shape.
Putin also addressed the Russian people directly to defend his policy.
If we dither, then in the long term it could threaten the stability of our society and therefore the country's security.
Nevertheless, the reform has proved divisive even in the usually docile Russian parliament, the Duma. This summer, all 104 opposition lawmakers voted against the bill on its first reading. The bill did get through thanks to the president's party, United Russia, which holds the majority. But even its MPs seem uncharacteristically reluctant to defend the Kremlin line.
In 10 years, there may be as many retired people as there are working people. As you can imagine, in that case, the pensions fund will not be sufficient to cover the costs of that. Frankly speaking, I don't really have any other arguments to explain why we are passing this reform now.
Supporters of opposition leader Alexei Navalny also took part in protests against the pensions reform earlier this month and clashed with police. They hope this issue might help draw attention to other problems with Putin's regime. So once the protests were over, some of them decided to try to keep up the momentum by staging daily actions across Russia, such as this symbolic funeral for the Russian Electoral Commission.
We're clapping because by law, we're not allowed to shout slogans. Slogans could be interpreted as incitement to illegal actions. And we could go to prison for that.
The activists move on quickly after the action. Members of their movement get arrested almost daily.
Above all, we want to show that we're not afraid, so that the other people might follow our example and take to the streets. People who are older have more to lose. They have responsibilities, their families, their jobs. We're more daring, and we're the ones who are going to have to live in this country. So we have to change things now to secure a better future for ourselves.
Once again, these young people will spend the night outside. In a system determined to snuff out any hint of revolution, they still believe change is possible.